Hello, my name is Kendall. Welcome back to another video. And if you're new here, hello, my name is Kendall. I will give a little warning. I am a little sick, so if I'm speaking a little bit quieter or my voice goes in and out, that's why. Today, I will be talking about the Legend of Waheela, also known as the wolf that no one talks about. The Legend of Waheela was first discovered in the late 1900s in Canada and Alaska. Its appearance resembled that of an Arctic wolf, but it was much more stronger, much heavier, and much taller. And not only was it much stronger, but in my opinion, it is also much more violent. It stands around 4 feet tall, and it has extremely thick white fur. Most animals, such as wolves, hunt in packs. This gives them a huge advantage over whatever it is they're hunting down. They're able to seclude whatever animal that is from their pack, and it makes it much easier for them to be able to hunt it and kill it by having the strength of multiple animals. But in regards to the Waheela, they don't need to do that at all. They actually hunt solo. And this, to me, really reflects their strength because unlike most animals, they are able to withstand a lot of attacks. In fact, they're known to be immune to most weaponry, which makes them nearly unstoppable. Generally speaking, these creatures don't necessarily target humans directly. They usually go for things that are more weaker or fragile, such as young animals, elderly animals, or animals that are already injured. But that does not mean that humans are completely excluded from their diet, because they will attack whatever comes across them, and that includes humans as well. One legend talks about this exact thing. At some point, there were 3 campers that decided to go out to this national park. It was late, so they decided to go into their tent and kind of settle in for the night. Unbeknownst to them, though, a Waheela would be showing up. When it did show up, with swiftness and zero hesitation, it began biting off each of their heads one by one. This incident is rumored to have happened at the Nahanni National Park in Canada. Now that park goes by the Headless Valley. This creature doesn't necessarily look threatening or harmful, but when encountering one, it definitely is. So sit back and relax as we get into today's story. In the rugged mountains of British Columbia, there was a problem with overpopulation of timber wolves. There were so many of them, and they began to kill cattle and sheep. The people living in the area were afraid for their own safety. Tom McAllister, a rugged middle-aged man with a scruffy beard and piercing blue eyes, eagerly accepted the challenge of culling the overpopulation of timber wolves in the infamous Nahanni Valley, also known as the Headless Valley. Tom's rucksack was packed with all essentials: tent, sleeping bag, knife, matches, and enough rations for a week. His blue eyes shone with excitement as he set off down the windy trail. The forest loomed before him, dark and dense. The smell of pine filled the air as he ventured deeper into the wilderness. The wolves' distant howls reverberated across the valley as Tom pursued them throughout the days and into the nights. Their footprints were visible all over the snow-covered ground, serving as a continual reminder of their presence. Tom was an accomplished hunter, though, and the excitement of the chase kept him going. One evening, right around sunset, Tom set up a camp near a small stream. The crackling fire provided warmth against the biting cold. The night was still, except for the occasional hooting of an owl and the distant howls of the wolves. As Tom lay in his sleeping bag, the sound of the forest seemed to grow louder and closer, and strange scents filled the air, a mix of wet fur and damp earth. Tom's instincts told him something was amiss, but he shrugged off the unease, attributing to his nerves. The next morning, Tom continued his hunt. He followed a fresh trail of wolf prints, leading him deeper into the valley. The terrain became rugged and treacherous, but he pressed on with determination. Hours passed and he found himself in a dense thicket, the canopy overhead blocking out most of the daylight. Suddenly, a low growl reverberated through the air. Tom froze, his heart pounding in his chest. The sound was unlike anything he had ever heard before, causing the hairs on the back of his neck to stand on end. He gripped his knife tightly, ready to defend himself. More growls joined the chorus, and the air was thick with tension. Tom's blue eyes darted around, trying to catch a glimpse of the source of the growls, but all he could see were shadows dancing between the trees. In the distance, the howls of timber wolves rose in a haunting symphony. The noise seemed to close in on Tom, surrounding him on all sides. He could feel the presence of something massive and sinister lurking in the dark. When he stepped out of the tree lines, Tom's breath caught in his throat. It was massive. It was a wolf, but it was easily larger than a grizzly bear. Fear clawed at his chest as Tom realized what he was looking at. He had heard the legend since he was a kid, but he had never really believed them. But here it was, looking down at him from its towering height, the Waheela. Easy there, big fella. Let's not do anything we'll regret. Tom tried to soothe the beast. I don't think that's gonna work. With a deafening roar, it lunged at Tom, teeth bared and claws outstretched. As the Waheela lunged at him, time seemed to slow down. He could see every detail of the beast's massive form, its fur matted and stained with the blood of its previous kills. Its eyes, like pools of golden fire, bored into his soul, and its snarling maw revealed rows of razor-sharp teeth. Tom's heart raced, and he raised his knife in a desperate attempt to defend himself, but the Waheela was too quick, knocking the weapon from his grasp with a powerful swipe of its paw. Tom stumbled backwards, and his mind racing for ways to escape. The beast circled him, growling menacingly, its hot breath steaming in the frigid air. Tom's senses were overwhelmed by the stench of wet fur and earthly scent of the forest. He could hear the crunch of snow beneath the creature's massive paws and the echoing howls of the timber wolves in the distance. With a surge of adrenaline, Tom lunged at the Waheela, trying to use his own strength to overpower the beast, but the creature was relentless, dodging his attacks with uncanny agility. Its claws sliced through the air, leaving deep gouges in the trees around them. Each attempt to fight back only seemed to anger the Waheela further. It let out another bone-chilling roar, shaking the very ground beneath him. Tom's chest heavied with exhaustion, and he knew he couldn't keep this up for long. In a last desperate bid for survival, Tom sprinted towards a nearby rock formation, hoping to climb to a higher ground and gain an advantage, but the Waheela was faster, and before he could reach safety, it pounced, knocking him to the ground with brutal force. Pain shot through Tom's body as the beast's claws tore into his flesh. He screamed in agony, but the sounds were drowned out by the Waheela's triumphant snarls. With a final swipe of its massive paws, the beast delivered a fatal blow, and darkness enveloped Tom's vision. The valley was silenced once more, save for the triumph howls of the timber wolves. The Waheela stood over his fallen prey, its eyes glinting with malevolence. It had claimed another victim, and the legend of the deadly beast would live on. Truthfully speaking, with that story, I really don't think the dude deserved that. Some of these stories that I read, I'm like, okay, I'm not saying that it's good, but I get it. Like, that person in the story kind of like provoked whatever it was. But in this case, he was really just doing his job. Let me know what you think in the comments below about this story, and thank you again to this book and the author who put these stories together so amazingly. I hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to take care of yourself, watch over yourself, and if you feel sick, make sure you take your medicine. I'll see you in my next video, but for now, I will see you later. Bye!